With determination of a quorum, we'll take attendance. Mr. Taylor.
Here.
Lee Hodgen.
Here.
Lisa Jones.
Here.
Eric Lugers.
Here.
I am here. Dana is here. And Ellen is here. We do have a quorum. First item, approval of minutes from the December 10th meeting. Do we have a motion on the minutes?
I so move.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, so it passes. New business, election of officers.
So moved.
Do we have any discussion or any desire to change positions? Okay,
Do we need a motion?
We do.
we do need
Yeah.
a motion.
Can I do them all at the same time?
Sure.
Motion to keep all offices the same for the next year.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we will stay the same. All right, now our next item of business is abatement request from Airtomic.
Yes, so Airtomic is a longtime Franklin resident, Franklin company. They started out on a small building on Industrial Drive and right behind my old office. So Mike and I were neighbors for several years. I worked with Mike actually on 2 projects over there. And then in 2019, they came before this body and they built this building that you see on the screen today. This was their new Airtomic building. I will let Mike kind of come up and explain a little bit in just a second about RBC and the parent company so that you understand all of that. But essentially, the project that they have before you today is that they have the original 30,000 square foot facility. They have outgrown it. They are in need of space. As those of you who did the tour last week saw, they are doing some pretty amazing things in there. They are going to be adding an additional 20,000 square feet, and they are also going to be adding an additional 27 people. Average wages run between $30 to $35 an hour, depending on initial experience. And as we learned, this is very specialized skill, not just highly skilled jobs. They hire welders, but not just any welder can come in and do what they do. It's pretty amazing. The thing that stuck with me most was when Mike said it's like taking and welding 2 pieces of paper together. That's pretty specialized, I would say. This property I do want to explain and have Ellen go through the process with us, but this property was originally in an ERA. That ERA had an expiration date of 2012. So it is no longer in an ERA, so we have to start the process all over, and just like it's a brand new ERA, correct? Okay, so we'll have Ellen walk us through that when it is time. They have requested a 10-year abatement. The staff recommendation is a 7 and a 5 for Rio and personal. They are not amenable at this time to the ADC fees. So I will have Mike Mislin from the company. Mike, if you'll just come up and come over to the mic and just super quick overview of who you are and what you're requesting will be great.
Good morning, everybody. How are you?
Good.
As many of you saw when you visited the other day, we're a multinational company. We have business with over 100 companies worldwide. We do rigid tube assemblies, tubes, ducts, and manifolds for aircraft and aircraft engines. The business has grown tremendously. The business base we're in is about $800 billion a year. And we look at our portion of it, and we think we're growing at a tremendous rate, and we're less than 5% of the total business out there. So a lot of room for growth. We'll see where that goes. The company that I represent, RBC, is also a multinational company. They own over 56 divisions. As I explained, in 2014, they started out as a $320 million company, They had 18 companies. They bought our business group for $500 million. And 3 years ago, they bought a division of ABB Dodge for $1.9 billion. So they've grown from 300 million to $2 billion a year in business in about 6 years. So the business is very specialized, and it's therefore paid very well from an employee standpoint. The tax base we originally offered and forecasted for the first 30,000 feet, we started with 24 employees. We thought we could get to 37. We're currently at 62 employees right now, and our conservative guess is 90 to 100 for the next 5 years. So, good business to be in, good business to have in your community, a well-established tax base for us, so we feel real comfortable here. So, do you have any questions?
I did have a question on the EDC fee. Could you explain to us why you may not be amenable to the EDC fee?
Yeah, I asked the question as well. Dana and I talked about it yesterday. So I called Bob Crawford, who is our vice president over building. We're doing about 5 reconstructions right now. So RBC's putting in the ground about 1 million square feet of property, and we're 20,000 of it. So I asked about it, and he said in all of the places he's ever been to, he's never had anybody ask for something like this. And I'm like, okay, so you want to keep explaining it to me? Because I don't get it. And he said that his concern is audits. We're a multinational, publicly traded company, roll on the New York Stock Exchange. So he was very worried about tax audits and these types of things. And I said, okay, I'll bring it up to him. I'll let him know. Then I continued to push him, which he didn't appreciate, but that's okay. So he got the legal counsel at the business involved, and they said, yeah, that's all we're doing is we have to file taxes for 56 divisions every year, and it's all about the audits and what we don't want to see. So that was his explanation to me to pass to you, so.
Okay, thank you. And I do want to note for the commission that on their previous abatement, we passed it without the EDC fee as well. And I did want to note too, for the record, that members of the EDC did tour the facility this past week, and it was a very good tour, and thank you for that. Very impressive facility.
You're more than welcome.
So the ask is for 10 and 10. Staff supports 7 and 5. Do we have any discussion?
I'll say I would, with what we've been doing over the last couple of years, I would support the 7 and 5 as well, just because the amount of money and things that's going on, the 7 and 5 would fall right in line with what we've been doing the past few years.
Okay.
Agreed.
Very solid organization.
Okay. And Ellen, we do need to make the ERA designation at this time.
Yeah, so an extra motion that the findings for the ERA have been met and making a recommendation to the council that it be approved.
We need that for 5 and 6, right?
Yes, paragraphs 5 and 6. We need to make a motion that the findings for that have been made to designate it as an ERA.
First.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that the findings have been met for items 5 and 6, that it is an ERA.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we do recommend the ERA designation. And now we need the discussion about length and a motion, if there is any other thought.
I would make a motion for 7-year real property and 5-year personal property.
Second.
And we have a motion for 7-year real, 5-year personal with no EDC fee, a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? So we do recommend the abatement to council. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, folks.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. I'll be in touch with the dates for the rest of everything.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Time for the fun stuff.
Stuff. So we have a total of 55 abatements that we are currently responsible for reviewing this year. We have about 32, I think, on today. After a while, the numbers start to blur, to be perfectly honest. I will have to say, on this group that you're seeing, overall, I think that we're coming out of COVID nicely. I think we're seeing a lot of good rebounds. We're seeing a lot of company growth, incremental growth, but it's growth, and that's really important for us to see. Overall, wages are definitely up. Investments have largely been met. Employment numbers themselves are not always at the anticipated levels, but I think that we've seen overall companies have done a lot more lean processes and have just lost people through natural attrition. There's not been any companies that have reported layoffs or anything in this group that we're going to see today. So pretty positive reports, I think, overall.
Okay, so we'll start with Asian, case C 2025-01. Have any discussion on that? Looks like they're above on salaries, employees, wages, personal property.
Everything.
Any discussion or emotion?
I'll make a motion for case C 2025-01. Eisen is in compliance.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we do find them in compliance. Go to C 2025-02, B2S Life Sciences. It looks like they're way over in all the categories. I mean, this is kind of what we want to see with abatements. So do we have any discussion or motion?
Move to approve KC 2025-02, B2 Life Sciences. Is that in compliance?
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? So we do find them in compliance. Next is C 2025-03, BP Rex Healthcare Packaging.
Same story.
Looks like they're over in salaries, employees, a little bit down in the personal property, but not by a whole lot. Average wages are high. Do we have any other discussion or motion?
I'll make a motion to approve case 2025-03, BP Rex 19-04 is in compliance.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we do find them in compliance. Next, we go to Cat Ream, C 2025-04. They're below on investment and employees. Did notice in their letter that they say they've become a leaner company. And I know that kind of the policy of the EDC has been not to penalize companies for becoming more efficient and kind of right-sizing when they feel like they need to. Did notice also that they mention higher level of employee bonuses for the current employees, and they feel they have a good employment base now.
This is also their last year,
Yeah.
So did we have them in last year,
2 years ago.
years ago? Okay.
So do we have any discussion or a motion?
I'd move to approve KC 2025-04 Caterpillar Reman Powertrain, Indiana.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? So we find them in compliance. And we'll move to C 2025-08, Dual Tech. Retained all employees, above on salaries, new employees, they're above on everything, way up on hourly.
Yes.
So, any discussion or motion?
I'll move to approve case C 2025-08 Dual Tech is in compliance.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we do find them in compliance. We'll move to C 2025-12, Franklin Tech Park. And you can stop me anytime if you have any comments.
Okay, yeah,
I'm just
no,
gonna- I'm just
you're,
gonna-
you're rolling, you're doing good.
We're on it.
Here's my cheat sheet.
They're above on everything.
Yep.
Do we have any discussion or motion?
Move to approve case 2025-12, Franklin Tech Park is in substantial compliance.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we do find them in compliance, and we'll move to Innovative 3D, the 2021 abatement, which is case C 2025-17. Looks like they're above on everything that they've said.
Move to approve case C 2025-17, Innovative 3D is in compliance.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? So we find them in compliance, and we'll move to C 2025-18. This looks like they have not yet started this.
Correct, yeah, they're out there doing some staking, they've gone through and got all of their approvals, so we should see things going vertical here in the next couple months.
Okay?
Yeah.
Any discussion or motion?
Move to approve KC 202518, Innovative 3D Manufacturing.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? So we find them in compliance. C 2025-20 LA Crossroads, way above on their real property, but we don't really have any other information since this is the target
Right.
distribution.
This is the company that we had issues with and had to issue waivers of noncompliance for the last 2 years. So I will be happy to report that they were literally the very first company to turn in their CF1 this year. I think they got it.
Great, so,
And what, have you talked to them at all, Dana? What's kind of their plan? It's employees, all that type stuff?
Because it wasn't a part of the abatement, they
Yeah.
don't report those, it's their
Okay.
target. So we don't get any of those numbers. I know that they've been real happy with everything that's been going on there. It's fully leased, it's fully used, 100% of that building. And,
Okay, good.
yeah, there's Target trucks in and out all the time.
okay. Do we have any discussion or motion on C 2025-20?
Move to approve KC 2025-20 LA Crossroads.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we do find them in compliance, and we'll go to C 2025-21 Laurel Properties. Looks like they're way above on everything.
Move to approve case 2025-21, Lago Properties is in compliance.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we do find them in compliance. We go to Malarkey, C 2025-22 and 23. I think we can take these together.
Yeah.
Obviously, the facility is still being constructed. We went to the groundbreaking last fall, so there's really nothing to report on employee numbers, but they are meeting what they have said they would do to this point.
They are on pace. Les actually had some photos on Facebook. He jawed out there, so they're moving right along.
Great.
Yeah.
So do we have any discussion or a motion on C 2025-22 and 23?
Move to approve case C 2025-22 and 23, Malarkey Roofing is in compliance.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? So we do find them in compliance. All right, we'll move to MTEA C 2025-24. Above on all, this is their last review, I think,
For this one,
for
yes.
this one, this particular abatement.
Yes.
We have any?
To approve case 2025-24, MTEA in compliance.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? So we do find them in compliance. And we'll go to C 2025-25 MTEA for their other abatement. Looks like in the letter it says they are hiring, but they're below in their employees, above on hourly, a little bit below on personal property. But it doesn't look like there's anything here that's particularly troubling to me.
I'll move to approve case C 2025-25 MTEA is in compliance.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we do find them in compliance. And we'll go to C 2025-26 MTEA, or MHICC rather, I'm sorry. MTEA uses the facility
Uses the
now.
facility, yeah.
And this was done to bring another line into this facility. So,
This is also the last year for this abatement and the 2025-27
okay.
abatement.
Can those go together then?
Yes.
Okay. Move to approve case C 2025-26 and 27 Mitsubishi Heavy Industries is in compliance.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we do find them in compliance. All right, next we will move to Overton Industries C 2025-39. This is for their 2016 abatement. Looks like they're down on the number of employees. Salaries hourly above, real property met, personal property down a little bit. Any discussion on this one or any motions?
I move KC 2025-39 Tube Forming Systems Incorporated is in compliance. Overton Industries.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we do find them in compliance, and then we'll move to C 2025-40 Overton Industries for their 2022 abatement. Looks like from that point that they've been above in their, by one in employees, pretty significantly in salaries and hourly, and then they did meet their personal property improvements as well. Do we have any discussion or a motion?
Motion to approve KC 2025-40 Overton Industries is in compliance.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? So we do find them in compliance. Move to Patch Development, C 2025-41. This is the GH Ortho Shell Building. They've met their real property. They are hiring. It looks like, even though they're down on employees, I think that we've seen these numbers improve.
G&H did not get their CF1 in by the deadline. I have talked to them, and I actually received it yesterday. So it will have to be on your April agenda. There was no way I could get it vetted and through in time. So, yeah, this was the shell building that the city participated in with Runabaum Construction and JCDC. So this has done what it's intended to do. It brought a company in, it's kept a company. So the real property portion, which is patches, the initial abatement, the 2541 was for the shell. The 2542 was for the build out. So that's why there's two.
I'll move to approve case C 2025-41 Patch Development is in compliance.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we do find them in compliance, and then we'll move to C 2025-42 for patch for the build-out portion. And again, kind of this exact same
Exact same thing.
Yeah.
thing.
Move to approve case C 2025-42 Patch Development is in compliance.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We do find them in compliance. And we'll move to C 2025-44 for Pure Development.
Dana, which one's pure?
This is the building that is in front of Mitsubishi and Ivy Tech. It's the one over there. It started out as Peterson Construction, and then they sold it to Pure Development. I did want to let you know, this has been completed for a little over a year now. They have leased the south one-third of the building. There is a company that is going to be coming in there, a logistics company on the south one-third. They are doing build-out, and after they applied for all of their permits, they contacted me and said, oh, by the way, can we do an abatement? And of course, by state law, we cannot. So they will be doing a build-out. It's going to be probably $5 to $7 million, including all of their personal property. So it's pretty significant investment that will be 100%. It will not be abated, obviously. But they do have the south third of that building has been leased, so there's starting to be movement with it.
Is there any thoughts or leads on the other 2/3 of the building at this time that we know of?
Pure itself kind of went through some restructuring issues, so things just didn't market for a little bit of time, so it just kind of sat there. I think that has finally been resolved, or fairly close. I'm looking at Amanda to see if she knows any more than I do, but I think it's getting resolved, so I think they're starting to market this and market it pretty heavily. They don't have anybody at this time, but it is out there. They are sending it out to people, getting leads now, so it is being marketed now, because for probably about 6 months it was not.
Okay, any other discussion or a motion?
I approve with no problems. Case C 2025-44, Pure Development 2128 is in compliance.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? So we do find them in compliance. Next, we've got Rapid Prototype and Engineering.
I do want to make sure that everybody is aware on this. I talked to Ellen about this one too. RP&E, Rapid Prototyping and Engineering, the business itself was owned by Will Harvey and Casey Myers. They sold it to Sakoma Group, which is out of Edinburgh. The business itself has remained the same, Rapid Prototyping and Engineering. It's staying in the building. They're continuing to move. They have no plans to leave. In fact, they are starting to bring some of their Sakoma work up here. So I think that's a pretty positive move. But the building itself is still owned by Will Harvey, so it's under WK Investments. That's why you're going to see that change. It's not the same. The real property will be for WK Investments. The personal property will still be for Rapid Prototyping and Engineering. But since the business has remained the same, it's just taken parent company ownership has changed. Ellen, I'm correct that everything can continue with these abatements. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Looks like they're way above on everything, and as Dana said, moving work up here is a good sign. Any discussion or motion on C 2025-45?
Move to approve C 2025-45 is in compliance.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we do find them in compliance. And their next abatement is C 2025-46, which was a 2019 abatement for personal property, and again, looks like they're way above.
Yeah, move to approve case C 2025-46, Rapid Prototype is in compliance.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we find them in compliance. And then C 2025-47 is the WK Investments,
Correct. So this is the real property.
which is the real property, and again, looking like they're above.
Move to approve case 2025-47 WK Investments. In
Second.
compliance.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we find them in compliance. And then their final case for them is C 2025-48. This is the one we just did
Yeah,
a
this
few months
was
ago.
done specifically as part of the sale of the business.
Yeah,
This is
so-
the increase for bringing Sakoma.
Looks like they're down on the personal property, but they are continuing the project and look to be
Correct.
done with the full investment by the end of the year.
Yeah, they're still adding to it.
Any discussion or a motion on C 2025-48?
Move to approve case C 2025-48, Rapid Prototype is in compliance.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we do find them in compliance, and we'll move to C 2025-49 for Sargent Aerospace, Airtomic, which was their 2018 abatement for when they first came. And again, everything is way up, and this is what we like to see in abatements.
Move to,
Go ahead.
fight you for it. Move to approve case C 2025-49, Airtomic is in compliance.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we do find them in compliance. And so then we'll move to case C 2025-50 and 51 can be taken together, I believe. It's Shelby Gravel. Looks like everything's okay there. They're down by one employee on their new side, but everything else is way above. I mean, especially the hourly wages are way above. So I think this is okay.
Move to approve 2025-50 and 2025-51 Shelby Gravel.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we do find them in compliance, and we'll move to C 2025-52 for Sunbeam's first case, which was a 2017 abatement.
I think you can take 2552 and 2553 together, as they're
great.
both for the same building. This was originally, it was the Energizer building, we all remember that. So the first abatement was for the actual building, and the second abatement was for the build-out.
Gotcha.
Just a update on how that is, Energizer has left completely. They did not receive their abatement for their final year. They did have to pay their full taxes, as we did deny that. As appropriately should have been. They are completely gone. DHL has taken over the majority of that space. There is a small space, I think, towards the front of the building that Sunbeam is marketing, so there could potentially be a small distribution logistics type company that may take that front part, but DHL has taken about a little over 3/4 of that building, so.
Thank you. Do we have any discussion or a motion for C 2025-52 and 53?
I move case C 2025-53 or 52 and 53 are in compliance.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we find them in compliance. And then next Sunbeam is C 2025-54.
This is the building that is 120 Jim Black Road. This is where Amazon is located. If you recall, Amazon did not choose to do any kind of abatements with us. This building was built as speculative, so at the time of the abatement, there were no jobs attached to this. So that's why there are no employment numbers now, but Amazon is in there. They are running. They are going full steam ahead from everything that we've heard.
Okay. Any discussion or a motion on C 2025-54?
Move to approve case 2025-54 Sunbeam.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? So we do find them in compliance. And then we'll move to the last Sunbeam, which is the 2023 abatement, case C 2025-55.
This is for their spec building. That was the beginning of the lot of I-65 South Commerce Park on Jim Black Road. Currently, they do not have a tenant in this building. However, it is being heavily marketed, and they did have a meeting with the mayor last week. I was in another meeting, wasn't able to attend, and Steve has left and has not given me an update yet on that. So I will be having a discussion with him, but they've had a couple of people that were pretty interested in that. They've been reaching out to us about some questions for that building, and also starting to talk about doing their next building, which the plan was, as soon as this one was leased, they are going to immediately start the building directly to the south of where this one is located.
Okay. Thank
This
you.
is the one east of Jim Black Road, right?
Correct.
The one, okay.
All right. Any discussion or a motion on C 2025-55?
Move to approve C 2025-55 Sunbeam.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we do find them in compliance. All right, now, other business, the 2025 EDC fees.
Yes, so as you know, every year we get the report from the EDC fees. They have been steadily going up and doing some really great things in the community. Last year, we hit a record of $90,257. This year, I feel like there should be a drum roll because we are at, thank you, Eric, $107,679.08.
Cool.
So $107,000 for grants for our nonprofits. Rosie just perked up. Don't know why. But that's really awesome and really shows the benefit of what this is doing. We heard from Rosie last year. I'm glad she's here because that has been so impactful to our small businesses to be able to do that. PAC is really excited about their project. Everything's on pace to get that completed. The Art Craft is in the process of getting through their planning work and getting things moving, and they've got a lot of big plans for that. If you were, I think it was at the RDC meeting last month, Debbie, that Rob Schultz got up and talked about having the people come. He said they had at their last program in a partnership with Wild Geese Bookstore, they had 593 women and 6 men that came to an author event at the Art Craft on a Monday night. They stayed, these ladies and gentlemen stayed late. They went over, Main and Madison stayed open, and I know Amy Richardson told me they were slam-packed all night. All the restaurants were full, so for a Monday night in downtown Franklin, that's pretty cool and pretty awesome to see that kind of thing happening. So these dollars are definitely having an impact in our community, which is pretty amazing. So at this point, this is now turned to you gentlemen. If you would like to do this program again this year, if you would like for me to go ahead and do the application process, get things started for that, I can bring that for your approval at the next meeting. Or if you have something else that you wish to do, this is your program, gentlemen, gentlemen and ladies, so.
I mean, I would assume we just want to keep doing what we've been doing with the EDC fees.
I agree.
So I would appreciate it if you could
Okay.
bring that for our approval at the April
will do so.
meeting. Speaking of the April meeting, looks like we are going to need to move the date of that, and I think what maybe works best for most is to move that to April the 15th at 9 a.m., right after the RDC meeting. So we'll do April 15th at 9 a.m. for the April meeting. And one other note, I just wanted to thank Dana for all her work that goes into all this. Because, you know, we just get to see and evaluate and all that, but then you got to make the calls and, you know, all this, and you didn't
good
fill
to
this
see.
out and all that. So we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, any other business? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.